My name's Corwin.
And I'm James.
And this is This Movie's Gay. That's wrong. It's welcome to This Movie's Gay.
Do you want to start it over, or is this the intro?
No, that's the intro.
Okay.
It's always messed up.
Oh, no. It's not always messed up.
It's always messed up when I do it.
Okay. And sometimes when I do it.
And sometimes when you do it. Yeah. We'll stick with that. That's our story. And the only people that are going to tell us otherwise are listeners.
Maybe we change it to That Movie's Gay, so then we can say, and this is That Movie's Gay.
But stickers and everything else already says this on it.
Maybe we change the name to This Gay.
This gay.
And this is This Gay.
This gay.
This, that, gay, whatever.
Gay. I guess that's the most important part.
Uh-huh. Yeah, let's just change the name to Gay Podcast.
Does that exist? If it doesn't, I'm down.
Yeah, it has to, but also, like, it's so specific that it can't, you know?
Right? Like, I feel like we would have been listening.
Yeah.
Or been hearing about it.
Or, like, iTunes won't allow it to because they're like, well, this has to be hate speech if it's just called Gay Podcast.
Gay.
Corwin, it's our Pride episode.
It is. I didn't even think about that. Life has been crazy, James.
What's crazy going on in your life right now?
Oh, just work.
Okay.
Just work. Work is a lot. It's okay. Also, it was my birthday.
Oh, yeah, it was.
So that happened. Yeah, life is just lifing.
Do you need an assistant at work? Because, you know, this guy's a pretty good assistant.
If I could hire you as an assistant, I 100% would.
Dang
I'd
it.
say, yes, here's a job and a 401k, and please help me.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Alex Z, was our former boss. Or was Alex ever your former boss?
No, was not ever my former boss.
Well, in the end of the Patreon, when I read $10 patrons, Alex Z was my boss, and she was frequently being like, can I get an assistant, and can I just make it James? Because that's what I wasn't doing that, but like, maybe 10, 15% of my job was technically her assistant.
I would love that. Let me talk to all of my employees. Hello, please be my assistant instead of doing your job.
Yeah.
Oh, in addition to your job.
Yeah, that too.
But just do your job less.
I could have just been an executive assistant, and I could have been every manager's assistant. That would have been rad.
I feel like you would have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I feel like you would have had a good time.
I would have flourished.
And they definitely needed it.
Oh,
All of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them needed that.
Because I think there was about 5 major departments, and I could have just one day out of every single week, I could have been like, all right, I'm your assistant. I'm doing all this stuff. That I'm focused on you, but of course, you know, if I need to go into meetings for someone else, that's fine, but it would have been doable.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. You would have had to take notes for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to go in those meetings and take notes.
I would have brought in a recorder and been like, all right, yeah, I'm just going to record this and text-to-speech this shit.
Oh my god, it's so much easier now.
Yeah.
Because the things that you take meetings on just do AI notes themselves. Which I don't really want to talk about AI that much. I'm not a big AI fan, but it makes the meeting notes easier anyway.
But it's taken jobs away from assistants like me. No, I think like things for that and subtitles, I think, you know, go for it. Have at it.
Yeah, but things like art, no, stay away. Get out of here.
Or executive decisions. There should be people involved doing that.
Oh, 100%. Also, I hate the AI customer service.
Oh, yeah, get that out of there, too.
On the record, get that shit out of there.
Uh-huh.
It's bad.
Yeah, fuck you, AI. You can't understand the nuances of a specific situation and a unique problem, because when I'm like, hey, I need this solved, and they're like, oh, well, you can do this, and I'm like, that's absolutely not what I need. This is a weird situation, and I know, please give me to a real human.
Yeah, but they don't. And then you have to get mad, and you have to say, oh, I'm gonna go on Twitter, or, whatever social media, not that one, and go on some rants about it, and finally get help.
Well, from my experience on, knowing live chat style stuff, I just keep saying operator, human, and eventually it does bring me to someone.
Someone that does not care, that won't escalate you to a manager, and they're not going to solve your problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get mad, and you cancel your Uber subscription and never use them again.
And hopefully the manager is a little more compassionate than a certain priest would be at an all-girls school.
Oh my God. Do you want to get into it? Do you want to get into the movie? Let's get into the movie. James, you brought this one to me, much like the last one, so I feel like you should give a quick rundown and tell us what had happened and what movie we watched.
Today we are discussing, I believe it's Samantha Lee's 2023's Rookie. It is a Filipino movie from the Philippines, and it is about a girl going a fish out of water into a private girls' school, Catholic style. Get it out of here. But
get it out of here.
There's no basketball team, which she is a basketball player, and I don't remember the subtitles, but I believe the coach of the volleyball team said there's no basketball team because the nuns think that makes women gay or easy.
It was gay.
Okay.
I literally wrote it down.
All right.
The nuns think basketball makes girls gay.
Well, guess what actually turns girls gay? All girls boarding schools, okay?
Or just being gay.
Yeah. Dana from The Rewind, also someone else who worked at that job we were talking about, she went to an all-girls school, and she's like, yeah, man, we all experimented in lesbianism because that's all we could do.
Hell yeah.
Hell
yeah.
Yeah, guys.
Go lesbians.
So she joins the volleyball team, doesn't know how or how to do volleyball, and it's a contention with the team because she's very shy, doesn't really know what to do, and it's her falling in love with the captain of this volleyball team and the trials and tribulations of being a junior in high school.
And it's just a little slice of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful.
With a little bit of oh no, why do you don't have that in here? But that part at least ends somewhat okay. But as we've watched a lot of these movies, and
if you don't have trauma, is it really a gay movie?
Yeah, but also we've been we don't need the trauma anymore, guys.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
At least it wasn't someone saying I'm going to commit suicide because I'm gay.
Yeah, we can get into the notes when we get into the notes, but one of them is the lack of blatant homophobia is very refreshing.
Uh-huh.
And then I just completely forgot that the church was involved. And then they reared their ugly head.
I had to, because I was like, is this realistic? What's going on here? Because I'm not aware of Filipino social norms. And I Googled what's the LGBTQ culture in the Philippines. And it just was hey, if you're in an Asian country, this is the number one, safest country. And then number two in the Pacific Islands area, meaning Australia's the safest if you are a queer person. So I'm okay, all right, this is believable. This doesn't feel like wishful thinking.
doesn't feel like a fantasy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, jeez.
Like Desert Heart felt kind of like a fantasy of like, everyone's being really nice to everyone.
Everybody's real chill about this.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. I overall enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Would highly recommend. It was a wonderful little movie. I feel like it should win awards. It did great.
Yeah.
And overall, their like representation of the queer experience, minus the nuns and the priests, it was like the homophobia didn't exist, which was great.
Yeah, at the end when they finally kiss in front of people, the entire volleyball team doesn't go like, or like, they're not like, huh? They're like, ooh, as you would.
As high schoolers would.
Yeah, when two of your friends start kissing, you go like, oh. Ooh. My boy's getting French tonight.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even know how I found this movie. Maybe I was looking for queer shoujo anime. Like, I think I typed Yuri anime movies, and this eventually was on a list of like queer Asian movies. I was like, oh, this looks just cozy as hell, and it was. And anyone looking to watch this, I don't think it's readily available here in the States, but you can find it on archive.org fan subbed.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I think everyone should watch it. Do you want to get into notes?
Yeah, let's get in. It starts with Ace, that is our main protagonist. She's playing basketball, but with the boys, and she's just sinking three-pointers. And these little chodes, this is what they say. They're like, she's lucky we let her score, which translated into, like fragile masculinity is, oh, she made us feel emasculated.
Literally. They were the whole, when I first started watching this, the first quarter of the movie, I was like, James said he liked this, so I'm gonna stick with it, but everyone's so unnecessarily fucking rude.
Oh, yeah.
I am so mad about it. I'm like, why are you rude for no goddamn reason?
Which, I've been reading a lot of manga, and there's a lot of that in manga, especially with, the nerdy, shy kid, and especially in this book called Killer Shark from Another World, everyone just piles onto this girl to the point where it's funny. So I was like, I guess that's just what everyone's being mean to the nerd. Like, it feels like an 80s comedy with a nerd
100%.
focus. Yeah.
Yeah. Because as soon as she, there was that part with the basketball and in the beginning, and then she was late to her first day of class, and when she went up to introduce herself, the whole class, she was like, my name's Ace, my favorite color's yellow, and the whole class was like, heh, loser, and you're like, what the fuck?
Well, it's because she started out by saying my favorite color is, then they start laughing because they're like, this isn't the second grade.
Yeah. I mean, granted that, but from experience, introducing yourself to a bunch of people is awkward.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like when there's a new person coming in that, especially in school, when you kind of know all the people growing up.
Yeah.
When you have a new person come in, especially like that, it's like, give them a week. See if they're cool or not. Don't base them off the trying to introduce themselves to the class because, sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you're just there. There's no introduction at all. So, yeah, that was part of the, oh my god, they're so rude.
Yeah.
Which immediately led into my next note of her being in the hallway looking at the trophy case. And I think it was Jana that walked up and ran into her because she wasn't paying attention. And Ace was just standing there staring at the trophies and zoning out or whatever. And as soon as Jana ran into her, she was like, watch where you're going. Why are you just standing in front of her? It's like, girl, you're the one that ran into her.
Yeah. Someone once, I was on my scooter and someone ran into me on the scooter and they're like, watch where you're going. I was like, how would I have hit you? You hit, from the side, you hit me. There's no way that I could have ran into you that way. And normally I'm very passive, not aggressive, but I did say no, no, you ran into me, okay?
Get them. Get them, James. They shouldn't be running into you.
It was some suit downtown during lunchtime. I was like, no, I'm not taking this.
Especially from a suit downtown.
Uh-huh. I was on a razor scooter. I could have, done a tail whip and hit them in the shin real quick. You'd be lucky I didn't do that, Mr. Suit.
Oh, that's the worst feeling ever. The razor tail whip in the shin. That hurts just thinking about it.
It happened a few weeks ago. I wasn't trying to do a trick. It's just like, sometimes it happens.
See, this is why I don't ride scooters, because I'm uncoordinated enough that I would break my shins.
No.
They would be broken, James. I would be crying in the hospital, being like, James, why did you pressure me to ride a razor scooter?
Oh, but I would say, hey, for leading up to you getting a razor scooter, I just kept saying like, hey, take one of those reflex mallets and just start hitting your shins a little bit to strengthen them up. Guzzle some milk every day and you're good.
Yeah, do the little micro breaks in my shin and the calcium to fill them in.
Yep.
All right.
Take a milk bath.
I don't have a tub. I can't take a milk bath. Sorry.
Take a milk shower. That would smell so bad.
There's something about, milk bath, I understood. Milk bath is like, yeah, sure, that's a thing. Put some flowers in it or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
That, sure. I could see that. Milk shower? Disgusting.
Yeah.
Hate it. Tactile, terrible sensation. Tactile nightmare.
Feeling it go on me, that's fine, but unless you truly clean it up, I poured a gallon of milk out because, I'm lactose intolerant now, so I can't be drinking milk all the time. I poured pretty much an entire gallon down. Nicole tried getting as much of it inside of her as she could. Not while I'm pouring it down. Nicole tried drinking as much before it expired.
Pour it down the sink, and Nicole is putting her mouth under it, going, please, no, James, I want the milk.
So I rinsed it out, everything, and then Nicole messages me while I'm recording, and she's like, yeah, it smells like my grandma's compost in our sink, James. I was like, I rinsed it out immediately, so I had to spray a bunch. I think that's the issue with a milk shower.
I feel like, it would get everywhere. I also, for some reason, the bath is like, okay, but then for shower, I feel like it gets sticky for some reason.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be sticky and just gross.
Probably.
Yeah, it's gross. Don't do it.
What I'll do is I'll find a MILF and she'll just squirt some milk on our shins and we'll be good.
I don't think that's how that works. I feel like you need to drink the milk for the calcium, not put it on your skin. You
need to do both. It needs to absorb in both ways.
I don't know enough about the science of milk to argue against that, but I feel like you're wrong.
Well, I know the science of MILF, so that's,
That's a completely different field, James.
Yeah. I bet, at least I hope anyone listening to this is like, why do you need the ILF? It can just be, You just need a mom to spray the milk. You don't need to want to also sleep with them.
That's the question for you, James. What's the answer?
I guess I don't want someone I don't like spraying milk on me, okay? That's an intimate thing happening, being sprayed with milk.
You know what? I'll accept that answer.
Okay.
On behalf of the listeners, I think.
Thank you. So back to the movie.
Yeah, not the MILFs, the movie.
There's one issue with movies about someone who I've never played this sport, but by the end of it, they're going to be very good at that sport, and we see them be good at that sport because the coach asks her hey, well, we don't have basketball. Would you like to play volleyball? And she's like, I've never played volleyball. And the coach does say oh, well, you're tall, but immediately seeing this woman, I'm like, no, you look exactly like you're built for volleyball, as if you've been training every day for 2 months to get ready for this movie to play volleyball.
She did look like she'd be good at volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give the coach that. I also had a note in there about we already talked about it, the nuns think playing basketball makes you gay.
Yeah.
Girls gay. And I was like, I don't think I've ever heard that for basketball. I feel like it's always, the stereotype is always softball.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, nuns, what are you on about? I feel like at that point it's just girls can't play sports or they're gay. So why is basketball the line?
I don't know. Maybe because it's less prevalent, so they're like, well, that's gotta be what's turning them gay.
The basketball has to be turning them gay. Those nuns obviously don't watch the WNBA. They're not fans. They're terrible.
Especially because a lot of those ladies are straight. Like, if they were to actually watch the WNBA, they'd be like, oh, you want to know what? The national average is represented in these women.
Truly. We are WNBA fans here. I need everyone to know.
This is what I say. Make all sports intramural, so then we wouldn't have to have any of these issues that are going on with these goddamn government politics saying people can't play sports that they're into.
Really, though. Preach. Make it all intramural. No.
Because then if people are like, oh, well, women won't be able to succeed in this sport, but that's not the case. Everyone would then say, okay, well, if a woman's physique or like their body type is better suited for this thing, everyone's going to be like, oh, well, we figure like Moneyball, okay? They will Moneyball it to be like statistically women can do these positions and men can do these ones better. And the first team to do that will get Moneyball too, okay? That's the movie that they will get because they will figure out how to win all the championships by intermingling all genders into one team. When professional wrestling is more socially forward than other sports, you're doing something wrong, guys.
You know what? I didn't think about that. That's so true. Mm-hmm. I was going along with the bit, but I was going to say the disclaimer of I don't watch any sports at all, really, so I cannot speak to the advocacy of intramural sports. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm gonna let everyone else debate that. But I'm all for the passion that you're showing, James.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The passion of James. Screw that Christ guy.
The passion of the James.
I got like 3 more months, and then guess what? I beat him out on living longer.
Oh, wow. Wait, you're younger than me, right?
I'm 33. Are you 34? Did you beat Christ?
No, I'm 33. I just turned 33.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I have another year to go.
Oh, man, fingers crossed.
Jesus is going to attack me on the street. He's going to be like, you can't make it past this.
What if on September 29th, I get crucified and we find out I was the first coming? What? Huh? Wild. What have I done to fulfill those prophecies set forth in the Old Testament?
I know I've done not a damn thing, so I don't have to worry about that. But James, I don't know about those prophecies.
Yeah. Damn. I'd be rubbing it in all the Christians' noses. I'd be like, yeah, guess what? I'm your Christ now. And they'd have to kick dirt and just swallow that very hard pill. And I'd be like, it's a suppository, okay?
Oh, my God.
Yes?
The blasphemy this week.
Okay.
We love to see it.
So we meet Ace's mom, and she is very, very loving and very just like, hey, they feel like friends, but she's also capable of being a mom. And they've moved to this area because her job relocated her. But then she says, hey, I'm going to be selling stuff on live stream, so we can like get some extra money. That's always good to have. And then I felt this so hard. She asks her daughter, like, hey, you should get online too to boost my viewership.
I like that was your note, because my note on it was, did you meet anyone cute? And then I was like, oh. So mom's like, hey, you're gay. And mom knows. which was that's where the beginning of the this is refreshing started, because I immediately forgot about the nuns, and their stance about basketball.
Yeah. And speaking of nuns, what country, because nuns can't be the same everywhere, what country do you think has the coolest nuns?
I feel like there's probably some cool ones in like Italy or France, but I don't think they're chill.
Yeah. I'd guess like the Netherlands, because they're like, yeah, you want to know what? Amsterdam, we do weed here, who cares?
Yeah, they're just in the mountains, just chilling. They're like, hey, we're gonna take a vow of silence and get high.
Now, if the digital world from Digimon is a country, then that, okay, those nuns are really cool.
I wasn't aware that there were nuns in Digimon.
They're just hot, big-tittied nuns with guns. That's what they are.
Okay. I was like, are they the Nurse Joys of the Digimon world?
No, they're nuns with guns and big old bazingas.
Yeah, those sound like some cool nuns.
So, we got a lunchroom setting, and I believe it was Jaina. Was Jaina the one dressed up as Charlie Chaplin?
I don't have a note on that. I do not recall. I don't know what you're talking about.
They were in the lunchroom, and like someone comes and sits down with them, and they're like in a bowler hat and like a suit and whatnot, kind of looking like a silent film actor. And I was like, tell me you're gay without telling me you're gay.
I'm going to have to go back and watch that part again, because maybe I was looking down and writing notes or something. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, no, I do remember. I wrote it down. It was very weird. I was like, what? Maybe they were in a play or something?
Yeah, I have nothing about that. Did you meet anyone cute? And then they were playing a game. They had flames written out at the top of their page, and it looked like they were playing MASH.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, is this a version of MASH that I don't know about? Then Ace was daydreaming in the middle of practice, and I was like, that's very queer-coded, the daydreaming about being gay in the middle of an event.
I was going to say, wait, I daydreamed all the time, but now you're saying, like, daydreaming about being gay.
Yeah, daydreaming about being gay, just in the middle of practice. It's the longing. It's the longing is very, I feel like whoever wrote this and did it was very gay because they got the longing correct. They did it right. You gotta have longing.
I believe this director mainly writes queer films.
Hell yeah. I did write a note about the food that the mom made. I don't want to say it because I'll get it wrong, but the subtitle spelled it as Tinola. I want to look that up to see what it is, and I want to, see if I can get that somewhere, if it looks tasty. The other thing I had is that they were getting mad at her about being bad at volleyball and stuff, and I was like, she doesn't know how to play.
Yeah, know how to play. That's my next note. Yes. Don't be pissed. Teach her.
Yeah, and I was like, this is you mentioned watching a lot of sports animes or reading a lot of manga and stuff, and I was like, that's very a gay sports book or manga or whatever, like, that's very coded of, like, being mad at the newbie when they don't know what's going on. And that led me to another note that I had later that I think we could talk about now. I feel like the coach was just very unaware of everything. She was just she didn't know what was going on at all. She was nice, but to be like, hey, you don't play volleyball, but you should come play volleyball because we don't have basketball. And then not immediately be like, hey, this person has never played volleyball before, but they're very tall and fast, so I think they're made great for the team. Let's teach them. She didn't do any of that. She was just like, all right, here's practice.
It took her like a week of being ridiculed and leaving for the coach to then be like, oh, hey, come back, show up 30 minutes earlier, I'll teach you the fundamentals. That should have been right away. And also, like, the coach also didn't know, I feel like she didn't really know that the team was mad about it at all either. She was just like, are you having problems with the team? Like, yeah, girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you threw her on there with no tryout or anything and said, hey, she's on the team. By the way, she sucks.
Now, we should say the coach she does have a little obliviousness to things that are happening, we find out.
Yes.
And
and that's what I said my later note, because the coach was just oblivious the whole fucking movie.
When she was there in the room, she was a good coach, but if she was not, she's just like, oh, hey, I got other stuff to do, I guess.
Even being in the room, she's oblivious.
Corwin,
we'll get into it when we get to that note. What's up, James?
I sent you on Messenger. It's at 11:20 is when we just see this. I don't know if this is actually happening or maybe this was a fantasy because it is intercut during...
I think it's probably part of her daydreaming, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's...
Because she was wanting to... She was already getting the hots for Jana.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See? Well, like, what was that?
It was the daydream. It was the daydream.
So we then meet Jana's dad, and there's...
more tropes.
Yeah. We saw the loving mother, but now we see like the overbearing dad who just is like, hey, you need to be on this set goal to go in life. And guys, like, for real, just don't pressure or force your kids to be like your dead spouse, because that's a little creepy.
I like that the way they did that, though, with like, you had Ace with her mom, who is loving and all of that, but like, you know, her doing the live stream to get extra money felt like she was a little overwhelmed, like doing her best and all that, which is great.
Yeah.
And then you go over to, and her spouse passed away.
Yeah.
And then you go over to Jana, and who is like injuring herself every practice, like literally says, my body is falling apart as a high schooler, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then the dad is like just nonstop talking about volleyball and what she needs to do better to improve and all that as soon as she gets home, and is trying to make dinner and like all that stuff. So it was like, I feel like the juxtaposition of those two parents was nice, but it was also like a connection for them, which we did find out later that they connected over it, of, you know, neither one of them having, or both of them having a parent that passed away.
Yeah, and I do like we get another juxtaposition scene when they go to prom, and which it's fine if we skip forward because it's relevant. The mom is saying to Ace, hey, you don't like being in a dress because like she's like, I don't want to wear your dress, this and that. And she's like, well, then wear this, and brings out her father's suit. And she's like, oh,
which was so cute.
I know. And then Jana's dad is talking and is like, oh, yeah, you can wear your mom's dress. And she's like, and he stops for a second. And he's like, hey, you want to know what? Like, I'm sorry that I'm pressuring you to be like your mom. That's weird. And I do see that now. So if you don't want to wear this dress, you don't need to wear that. However, like, I do think it would look good on you. And I think you would enjoy wearing this because it was your mom's, opposed to just be like, you got to be like your mom. And I love that, because that's another thing we see in a lot of these movies where the parent doesn't the redemption that they get, their growth is like, well, that's not earned, but his growth was like, he saw it. He was not told. She never said it. He's like, oh, wait, I think I'm reading your body language. And now that I've like processed what I've been doing, this is bad. I am sorry. And here's what I'm going to do to fix that. And I liked that. I loved it, I should say.
Yeah, I did too. And that was one of my notes for later on him specifically was, unexpected character growth or unexpected character change. I was like, he went to therapy. That's what I'm just imagining he did while Jana was falling in love and all that. It was, he went to therapy.
Yeah. And we were mentioning how the coach was discussing with Ace, like, hey, you're clearly not good at volleyball. Let me teach you. And they're throwing around the basketball, and Ace goes to shoot it. And it goes, which we see later, it would go into like some bushes. However, it doesn't go into bushes. Like no one goes to grab it. It somehow magically bounces back to them. And I'm like, oh, there's some PA on the other side. Just like, there you go. We don't have time for you to go grab that.
So fair. That's Ace's personal assistant.
Oh my
just
God.
there, or the coach's personal assistant, just there to throw the basketball back. That we don't see, never on camera.
And my next note, so like she's learning aces, and Jaina and Ace are kind of cozying up a little bit, but just enough to be like, hey, you're on the team now, you're doing good. Baseline, you're not making us suck. And that's Jaina's big focus. She wants to end her senior year and go into college with the championship, because the previous year they ended as the second worst team. So she wants to just make a complete comeback, being very ambitious to say, we are going to get this championship. So,
because that's how she wants to get out of there. She wants the volleyball, like the scholarship, so that she could get out of there.
Yeah. And they then Ace is trying to work to then end up going to this volleyball intensive training summer camp thing, and they end up doing that. That's where my next notes are.
I love that. So before that happens, they did a match between the juniors and the seniors, and the juniors were killing it, and they won. And the bet was that they made a bet, Jaina did, that if the juniors won, or whoever won the loser would have to wear the winner's jersey. And then the junior, I don't remember what her name was, but she was like, all right, if the juniors win, then you're going to wear Ace's jersey.
Yeah.
And Jaina's like, what? No, that wasn't okay, fine. And she sure does rock that jersey. And that was the start for me of being like, oh, look at them. They're so precious. Because she was wearing that jersey in the hallway with her hair down and everything. And I was like, you're looking cute. You're looking cute in that jersey.
I do wish there was a moment of her like looking at Ace and being like, ugh, get out of here. And Ace leaves, and then like her kind of like clutch the jersey a little bit. I wish there was a little bit of that to show like Jaina was into her before we get to this volleyball camp.
There was. It was like a brief moment when Ace was walking down the hallway. I don't remember what the focus on was for Ace, but Jaina was in the background, and Jaina like looks at Ace and like smirks.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, yes, that ship is sailing.
I really needed Jaina to look at Ace and in like Fozzie Gaussian blur, Vaseline on the lens, see Ace in a Charlie Chaplin outfit.
You needed a fantasy from Jaina's point of view. That would have been great. That would have been beautiful.
And then I would have been like, wow, they really deserve each other.
Yeah.
If that's their
cute.
Fantasy.
There were a lot of like, fan fiction-esque tropes in this, which I really enjoyed, especially once they got to the volleyball camp.
There's no way.
There's bunks. It's just all bunks.
And then a full-size mattress.
Full-size bed. And they're like, all right, well, this is your bed. It's like, why is this the only one? You should have thrown at least like three, like make it weird so that there's like every like couple of beds, it's like a full-size mattress, like they ran out of bunks or something. But no, it's just, that's the only one.
Yeah, it's wild. And also, on top of that, there's like bedside lamps on those. It feels like this was supposed to be the chaperone or the camp counselors. But no, it's for them. And Ace says, hey, what side do you sleep on so we can like coordinate this? And
she says, what position do you like? And Jaina was like, And
then she's like, no, I meant like what side? And then Jaina's like, well, what side do you sleep on? And she goes, left. And then she said, well, then I'll take the left side. Which, to solve this issue, just sleep foot to head, you know?
I mean, I didn't see it as an issue whenever Jaina said that. I was like, ooh, cheeky.
But also, like, Jaina's like, I want you to look at me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That was truly fan fiction moment. Oh my god, there's only one bed.
Yeah.
It was great.
And then she's really awkward, this Ace, because there's a night where Jaina's not in bed. So she's like, okay, well, I can't sleep either. I'm going to like go look around, and then sees her smoking and I think probably drinking some alcoholic beverages. And she tries to like sneak around or up to her and immediately just like slips on some gravel and catches herself. And she's like, oh, and then Jaina's like, what are you doing?
You trying to get me in trouble? Trying to spy on me so you can tell?
Yeah. And this is where they bond over having a dead parent.
Yeah, they bond, they start to hang out. When Ace can't find Jaina, she goes and looks around for her. They talk about, which we skipped, I think we skipped it.
Oh, yeah.
The creepy assistant coach.
Yeah.
The main coach's godson or something like that. Coach Ken. I think that was his name.
Or Kel.
Yeah, Coach Kel, something like that. He was just, like, looking at the girls in the locker room, and you're like, what the fuck is he doing? It's creepy.
Yeah.
And then Ace had a moment where she, like, got hit in the face with a volleyball, and he was supposed to, like, check it out, like, do the medical check for it. And then he started going and touching her legs and her feet and stuff, and she's like, it hit me in the face. Why are you touching me there?
Yeah.
And that's where we, get that conflict of, ooh, this creeper's on the team looking at these girls and being weird with them.
Yeah.
And we find out he's done it to everybody.
Yeah.
And that's another point of the coach just being fucking unaware. Because as soon as she mentions his name later, she talks about him having one-on-one sessions with everyone in preparation for a big game and all that. As soon as she said that, every single girl's face in the room fell.
Yep, they just
every single one of
slumped.
them. Yeah, and for that to happen, and she just didn't pick up on it at all. It's like, girl, are you even looking?
And also when Ace confides in Jaina a little bit later of saying like, yeah, he did this weird thing, but like, what am I supposed to do? No one's going to believe me. I'm just like a high school girl. He's, an adult, this and that. And
yeah,
you see like Jaina process this. And then she starts crying, and then Nicole and I were both like, oh, I think this also happened to Jaina as well. Because now it's like Ace is, like trying to get comfort, but then Jaina starts crying and it's like, oh, fuck, no, like this might be a problem. And then later on when she's like, we need to tell the team about this because they were like, oh, no one's going to believe us. And then I'm like, I think the entire team's going to believe you because they will also have experiences.
Yeah, I think my first note, which I skipped over, was not the creep. It was him looking at them in the locker room, and I think he was looking at Jaina, and it seemed like she was uncomfortable and had experienced like moments with him before in that specific moment. And then this was before her and Ace got close. Ace walked up and made a noise, and then Jaina yelled at Ace of like, oh, you're being creepy. You're like, yeah, and all that. It's like a little misplaced anger there because Ace just walked up. She wasn't doing anything, but it was definitely setting the tone of that guy is fucking creepy and he is doing things he should not be doing.
Yeah. And that's it, I like how it resolved in a way. The way I wanted it to resolve would have been way too cartoonish and would have been like, I think you should leave type sketch. We'll get into that later, but at least it has somewhat of a nice conclusion, and it made this cozy movie bring us back into reality that I just didn't want to be in.
Yeah, it was that and the homophobia from the nuns that was like, oh, here's some reality. And the way I guess the principal or whatever, the priest of the school like handled that situation with him, which, was very, it was like right along the lines of the way they were being homophobic as well. It was like, you're just shitty people. All of you are shitty people.
Let's just say how it resolves. All the girls and the team, they all tell stories and they are crying. Some can't even say what happened. And
Jaina and Ace are like, let's talk to the team. And then they do that.
And then Ace is like, I want to go forward. And the girls are like, I don't want them to know that, like, I said anything. I don't want this to reflect poorly on me, this and that. And then Ace is like, well, then I'll just tell my story and that's all we need to say. And they do. And luckily, they meet with the principal, who's a priest. He says, like, he is fired. Today is his last day. He'll be banned. And they're like, and he goes like, well, like, we can't really do anything else. Also, like,
he never worked for us, really.
Yeah.
He was here as an intern.
And just think of how that will reflect on your family's name. Like, that's what you will be doing to your family. And it's like, no, this is what that man will have done to our family and what you will have done to our family by allowing this creep into the school. And then he also says, like, oh, and our school has a reputation to uphold. But then Ace is pissed, and so is Jaina, and they're like, wait, what do you have next period? Skip it. And it's those two and one other girl wait to see this guy he's just like, is carefree. He doesn't give a shit that he got fired because he'll just go on to another school. And then the girls run up to him at his car, slap him, punch him, then kick him in the dick. What I wish had happened was all of the team had just in a line just kept going up and kicking and kneeing him in the dick.
Yeah, but they were late to practice, and they were 30 minutes late to practice, because every minute they're late to practice, they have to do 10 suicides or something, and exercise, and they got in trouble and had to do that, and then the whole team was like, hey, I'll take 50, I'll do these two. So they were like, we got our vengeance too, through them.
Yeah.
The other thing about them going to the principal about it, I was thrown off by that. I thought they would go and tell the head coach, like, hey, your godson has been doing this. But they didn't. She just continued to be unaware of everything until he was fired. And then she was like, my bad, girls. I fucked up. I should have protected y'all. I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, you were oblivious.
Mm-hmm. But at least she, like, gave this very nice speech of, like, I believe you and I will do better. Yeah. At least there was that.
And she apologized and everything, too, which was also very nice. It was very refreshing, especially since she had the familial-ish connection to him. It was like, normally we see them defend the monster of like, oh, they didn't, but she didn't. She didn't give him any defense at all, which was very lovely to see, especially after the the church school let him go.
Yeah. Hey guys, when I'm the first coming, no godsons will be like that, all right?
Yeah.
So back to the training camp. They've become very close, Jaina and Ace, and Ace finds Jaina, like, on a balcony type, like, stairway outside doing homework, and is like, hey, so very close sitting, is like, so, like, do you have a crush on anyone in camp? And she's like, well, that's a secret. And there's so much of that. And then later on, Ace is asked the same question. Is like, well, that's a secret as well. And if we have any high schoolers listening right now, first and foremost, maybe don't. Second and last, just be direct, you little idiots. Just say like, hey, I have a crush on you.
Those moments were great. And that was another part of me being like, oh, the lack of homophobia is refreshing. Because it's like an all-girls volleyball camp. And I feel like it was very courageous, but that's because I come from a place where the homophobia is rampant. Of Ace to be like, hey, you got a crush on anybody at camp? And Jaina to be like, it's a secret. Yeah. It's like, just right out in the open, hey, you gay?
And it's like, yes, great. I am, but I'm not telling.
I am, but I'm not telling. Yeah, it was great. That was lovely. And that's where I wrote, the lack of homophobia is refreshing. And then immediately we had the church being a shithead.
Yeah, which they go to prom.
Yep.
And which also, this is like the hypocrisy bullshit of just misogyny and everything like that. Which is, we hear a woman, I guess a teenager, going to prom, like who is ahead of Ace in line. And the nun is like, oh, well, that dress is revealing too much skin. Make sure to wear a veil covering it, this and that. And then Ace comes up and they're like, oh, you can't be wearing a suit. You need to be wearing a dress, but it needs to be modest, but not showing enough skin. And Ace is like, this isn't showing any skin at all. And it just, the hypocrisy, the bullshit, just like to make women feel bad.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not on the invitation. It's not on the invitation. And then she was like, well, I wanted to go inside because what if Jaina's already inside? And the nun's like, oh, actually, male dates only. And it's like, what the fuck?
I would have been like, my mom's paying good money for me to go here, so either let me in or you're not going to eat tonight.
Because you're not going to have any teeth.
Well, no, I was saying because you don't have any money to eat because, my tuition is paying for your food, or, like you're going to have to eat through, a straw and a wired jaw.
Yeah, that's the direction I was going.
Yeah, but she's playing basketball in the court that the coach was in, and then Jaina comes up in her mother's dress and is like, hey, didn't your mom teach you not to stand up your date? And then they're hanging out. They're getting really close after playing some basketball. Then they start dancing and then they kiss a little. It's very cute. And I was wondering, Corwin, what is the most romantic sports field or play area to kiss? Like have your first kiss at?
After watching Challengers, a tennis court.
Oh, dang. Okay, all right. Because there's a football field, basketball court, volleyball court. There's a hockey rink, maybe,
Oh, if we're I mean, along the lines of the anime, if you're pulling a skater sort of thing, I would say the hockey field, but it's cold.
Oh,
so I'm going to say tennis court.
You saying skate makes me think maybe a concrete pool after doing some skateboarding or a half pipe.
Concrete pool is, or I wasn't even thinking of skating, but just like a pool itself is also, yeah, it's great. I love a first kiss in the pool scene. It's great.
I think the most cool place, billiards room.
Over the billiard table.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to make sure to do the whole, let me show you how to use this pool stick trope as well.
There's so many people out there, teenagers, who got in so much trouble for, scuffing up their dad's pool table from making out on it.
That's too rich for my blood. We didn't have one of those.
Oh, yeah. No, you think... Because not only do you have to afford that, you need the space to have it.
Exactly.
My next note is the coach is good because after she takes responsibility for that stuff happening to these girls.
Yeah. We also didn't do... I had a note about Ace asking Jaina to the prom, which was basically Jaina being like... hey, the prom, someone should ask me before I get asked by someone else. And Ace is like, yeah, sure, let's go. It was cute. It was a cute moment. I love because Jaina came off as so, abrasive, so it was very refresh. It was beautiful to see her go from, that abrasive personality of, a sports captain, got a sports, to being that, level of cutesy and, hey, you should ask me. Yeah. Ask me to prom. It was great.
So now my next note is they're at the finals. They've made it to regionals, and they are in the last match. And there's a lot of back and forth. You have to win the best of 3 out of 5 games, correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Or maybe it is you have to win 5 games. I don't remember. But they were second worst last year. And it's a lot of back and forth to the point where it's all tied up. I think it's 3 on one or 2 on one side, 2 on one side. The next point, they are tied at 25 or 24 points, 24 points. Next to wins. Next point wins. And unfortunately, they don't win. And I'm like, but they have to be proud. They literally took it as far as they could this year. And they went from second worst to second best. So luckily, you get there was a fun. We need to have fun, not just fun. And that's the sentiment when they lose, but they're still excited. And My only problem with this movie is like they then kiss. There's that ooh with all of them, and then we see like clearly the next year we're seeing Ace teach basketball to young girls at that basketball court in this new town that is now her home, and we hear on the radio that like removed from Ace on the radio we're hearing a volleyball match that clearly Jaina is in maybe the Olympics, it sounds like?
It said national champion.
Okay.
Or national team captain.
All
Jaina.
right. And it just makes me feel like, did they not stay together?
I feel like they did.
Okay.
I feel like because like she's teaching and stuff, and she had one more year to go. She was a junior and Jaina was a senior. Jaina graduated before her.
Both Nicole and I thought that maybe they didn't, because to imply that they're still together is the radio is on and then like you're done teaching this basketball, and then as Jaina's like winning this point, the dudes who have the radio should have been like, hey, she's doing it. Like there should have been her being invited into that, or her like running to the radio after practice is done for basketball to be like, okay, is she doing it? So it just felt kind of like, did they stay together or not? I hope they did.
I took it as she had the game on, listening. Even though she wasn't like in love with basketball, she specifically had that game on to listen to how Jaina was doing while, teaching and all that. The other thing you didn't touch on in the sports ball game is that I thought was very cute, but also like, the trope. Jaina got injured because she, been pushing herself so hard throughout the year and never gave herself that break. And as soon as Jaina was off the field, Ace was so distracted. And then that's when they started losing points.
Yeah.
Is when Jaina was off the field and couldn't play because her arm was hurt. And Ace was worried. But then once Jaina recovered enough and got back on, that's when they tied it back up. And it was good because, like, Jaina wanted that championship so that she could get the scouts to recognize her and get a scholarship and all that. But she got that anyway, even though they lost because they got it so close. And yeah, she went on to the national team. And the thing with Fun was what Ace was saying earlier when they first started to get close at the volleyball camp, that they should just play for fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that really helped Jaina grow with her sport and loving it again, because Jaina really wanted that scholarship to get out and then like to leave and not play volleyball anymore. She was tired of it, but taking it from the aspect of fun, she loved it again. Yeah. So it was great.
Yeah, because originally she wanted to just like get the scholarship, get out of there, then be able to quit volleyball.
Yeah, because she was being overburdened by her father's expectations of her with volleyball.
Yeah. I think on Letterboxd I gave this 4 out of 5 stars because, like, I'm rating this on an independent movie, and I think on an independent movie playing field, this is a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree. I think it's great.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. All of the fresh tomatoes.
Uh-huh. I think for next month, I think, are we in agreement to do 1982's Quirrell?
Possibly.
Okay, because, man, that movie, just the cinematography, the lighting, the sets, all of it looks so good. Yeah. I'm down. And it's a Criterion collection.
You love your Criterion.
Oh,
this is such a beautiful. It's. I mean, the movies we were watching before were also great, and they had their own thing, and we did watch some very fantastic, highbrow movies as well before. But I feel like now that we're back off the hiatus, you're really leaning into the Criterion, and I love it. I do love our shticky, not another gay movie sort of vibe, but these are also lovely to watch.
We got to figure out what we're doing for episode 100, because this is 98, so in 2 months, what will episode 100 be?
I'll give it a thunk. I'll give it a big ol' thunk.
All right. Fingers crossed Dynastud 2 is out by then.
Or, listeners, give us some suggestions of what you would want to see for the 100th episode.
Please.
Please.
Well, Corwin, do you got anything to plug?
I haven't streamed in a very long time, but I still technically do it. So you can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/corewinning. That's pretty much my only plug I can think of. What about you, James? What are your plugs?
Well, for me, listen to Mostly Speakin' Sentai, which only has, I think, 2 more episodes left. Then we're moving on to Magical Meatball Girls, where Nicole and I will be going through the adventures of Sailor Moon and other magical girl anime. I'm pumped for it. But much like Death to Squids with Jose and I, Nicole and I will be getting rip-roaring high before we start watching, and then we'll be extremely high while recording. It's going to be a blast. And if you're kind of curious, like, well, what will that sound like? Well, head over to patreon.com/MLMpod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single Friday. And a few months ago, we did 3 pilot episodes to get into the thick of things, figure out, like, does this work with Nicole and I? We did 3 pilot episodes for Magical Meatball Girls, so check that out. And check out Death to Squids with Jose and I. We are currently in a series of sort of like femme fatale sci-fi action movies. We did Night of the Comet, where you will then this week be doing Chopping Mall, Barb Wire with Pamela Anderson, which Nicole will be the guest on that. Then we are doing Ultraviolet, and then not Gun Kata, the movie that championed Gun Kata, Equilibrium, which is not a a female-led movie, but it's directed by the same person who did Ultraviolet. And $10 patrons get all of that, plus bonus monthly exclusive content in the form of straight to Patreon. This month, Robbie came over to discuss Mama Boy, the Christian Mpreg movie that is so anti-abortion that it's somehow pro-queer, baby. So check that out. And $10 patrons get shout-outs on every single free feed podcast. Let's begin with those, starting with Steve F., Alex Z, The Waz, Orion, my Bickle brother in common law, Joshua, Jake, Steve Barnes, A Sweet Child of Time, and Intro Void. Amazon, I can't believe you freaking canceled Wheel of Time. Shame on you.
I'm so mad about
it's
it.
Baffling.
I was so mad about the last episode too.
I haven't seen that yet. We'll be watching season 3, episode 7 shortly, or 6. One of them, I don't remember, but I'm pissed. I just thought, hey, we're gonna at least get 6 seasons of this to close out storylines, but that's so stupid. My mother is next. Lil Corey's BFF and now former roommate Shane from twitch.tv/Corwinning. It's Corwin from the Rom Complex, as well as Formulaic, a podcast and script writing. It's twitch.tv/R2Shelby2. And from Speed Radio, a podcast and all things Sonic the Hedgehog. It's Tay, aka Zinny D. And I've been James.
I've been Corwin.
I think we just say, hey, thanks for listening. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
There we go. Bye. Oh, wait, no, we go. Bye.
Bye.
And sometimes I auto-tune it. Bye. This has been a Marshland Media production, produced by James McCullum. For more content, please visit MLMpod.com. To support our network and have access to exclusive podcasts, head over to patreon.com/MLMpod and sign up today. Oh, yeah.